Well, hi again to our wonderful audience. Welcome to another outstanding edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers. And before I forget, we wish everybody that's tuning in to have just a great Thanksgiving Day with your friends, family, or wherever you might be having it. Whole idea is to enjoy it and to give thanks for everything that you have. And it's just a great holiday. Speaking of great, we have a great guest on for you today, one of our favorite people. Before I bring him on, let me tell you a little bit about Brian Manzel. Brian is ranked as the 25th golf teacher in America on Golf Digest's 50 Best Teachers in America. This is his fifth consecutive time receiving such an honor. Not to be outdone, however, Golf Magazine has Brian ranked as a top 100 teacher in America, so the man obviously has some credibility. Brian is a 32-year member of the PGA of America, as well as Section Teacher of the Year and the PGA Section Teacher of the Year in 2003. Brian has been instructing students for over 40 years, so he certainly knows the instruction side of the business and the game of golf as well. Brian has partnered with another top 100 teacher, Michael Jacobs, who is a renowned golf researcher. We'll get into that a little bit later into the show. He is the director of instruction for Michael Jacobs 3D, and he has the Brian Manzel Golf Academy. Brian is in New Orleans, by the way, and I think I said that a little better than I did last time I was on the show because Brian corrected me. So I have been working on that. So anyway, my pleasure to bring up Brian Manzel right now. Brian, let me wish you a great Turkey Day along with you and your family, and I just hope it's a blessed day for you. I know it will be.
Thanks so much.
Let me start off by asking you this, Brian. What, in your opinion, is the biggest roadblock keeping golfers from improving their game?
Yeah, I mean, not enough good information.
Okay, I like that.
So if I just look back, I'm not saying I'm the only teacher, there's several of us, but there's a lot of teachers, people would be very surprised, that don't really play a lot. They don't work on their games.
Yeah.
It's just something that's part of the business, right? For whatever reason. But I like to play. I would play right now. I'd go out there. It's 60 degrees and sunny and little wind. And I would love to play. So I've always kept working on my game. And now I have 52 years of playing. And I can look back at it and go, well, no information's better than bad information. So I was better off when I had no information than whatever information over the years that I figured out that I ought to be doing and then found out later that I shouldn't be doing. So when we get golfers coming in for a lesson here, I'm in the office side of the studio in the sky. I literally teach 10 feet on the other side of where I'm sitting. The last lesson I gave, which ended 10 minutes ago, was basically trying to do something that you would look through the whole internet to find. The guy just had to add more loft at impact. He was taking too much loft off. So if you go to any driving range and you ask people what you're working on, for every person that says I'm trying to get my hands forward or lag it more, it's all the same thing, right? I'm trying to get more like, this at impact, like John Rahm, who swings 100 miles an hour with a 7-iron. For every person who told you that they were working on that, I mean, they gave you $1. You would have a lot of dollars before you found the first person that says, I think my hands are too far forward. I'm trying to do that. But literally, I had to work on that with this guy for an entire hour. And he's a a very avid golfer, a little older than me. He loves hitting balls. He's working on adding loft right now, probably down the street at the driving range. So I read something today, on one of the, the famous old school forum on Facebook, and I said, why can't we all agree on? Well, I don't think anybody agrees on anything, do they? They don't agree on who ought to be ranked number one in football.
Yeah, seldom, right?
You couldn't get 100 guys to tell you that Jessica Alba was pretty when she was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Somebody would say she's not my cup of tea. Good luck with that idea. But the point is, at the end of the day, there is a way to swing a golf club that's better than another way for most people. And I think that's what you're seeing with this Lucas Auberg kid. Finally, somebody comes along that looks like he can jump out the gym, and he makes a very orthodox, normal pass at it. Mm-hmm. And he may be the next big thing. I hope he is. The game of golf definitely doesn't need to be leaning on Tiger for the next 20 years, for sure.
No. And I said he's going to win sooner than later. And I think his win is going to really open up the door for him. Let me jump to another question since you kind of brought it up. Do you think, given all the golf instructional books, the DVDs, YouTube, other stuff online, that there could be an overload of information to the weekend player, and that's what's screwing them up a little bit?
Nah, because I'm going to be 62 in December if the man upstairs says that's okay, and I think you got a couple on me. We remember when there wasn't any information. You were hanging on every golf magazine.
Right.
If you go back and look at Michael Jacobs, my best friend in the business that you mentioned in the Open, he has like a collection of like artifacts. People don't realize that, they think he's Mr. Modern. He's Mr. Old School, He was so happy Sunday that he bought a Merriam wicker basket for his collection. he was saying, you think you can get that past your wife? And I went, absolutely not. $700 for a wicker basket.
Oh, my God.
But the point is that people, these magazines, right? And listen, I'm very affiliated with both of the magazines, thankfully. If you go back to the 70s when we were scooping up some information, man, those articles are bad, man. Looking back, every now and then somebody said, so I'm not saying Harvey Penick didn't know how to swing a golf club. I'm just saying the information is better now. Now, there's so much of it.
Yeah.
I just wish more of it was what is possible instead of what's impossible. Teaching Mr. Fabersham, who has 85 miles an hour of club head speed, to super lag it, right side bend, and get wide open and impact. Not only is he not going to physically be able to do it, Dennis, if he did it, he couldn't get it in the air because he doesn't have the club head speed. But you know what? That's good. It's just like anything else. There's a lot of bad information about what to eat and how to exercise. I guess I should pay a little more attention. But the point is, it's better now than it was, and all we can all do is,
100%.
in the information business, is try to get out better information. That's what me and Mike are trying to do.
100%. I agree with you. I get together with some other golf media people a couple times a month. We have lunch. We talk about this. We talk about that. I'm the only one, Brian, I think, that keeps saying, you know what, guys, in my opinion, take it for what it's worth. To me, lag. Everybody talks about lag. I don't think lag's that important in the golf swing. What do you say?
It's not. There's a particular loft that Dennis Silvers needs with his 6-iron off the fairway to hit a shot that lands on the green in Vegas and holds. Okay? Whatever that is. Let's say dynamic loft for your club head speed, 22 degrees. Just making up a number, but it's probably close. Okay. So the club's got to be in a certain position on a certain angle of attack to make that height happen. Okay, now, then your body has to hold on to the club, so then your body has to be in position. And when you work it backwards, it's not that complicated. Just build everything around what you're trying to do. And so if you're trying to lag it, what are you lagging it for? The only two reasons you'll get that are any good from anybody, and I'm not saying they're right, I'm just saying at least there'll be good answers, is I'm trying to get more club head speed from the lag. Well, you don't get more speed from the lag, you got to get rid of it. So, or I'm trying to just have better impact. Well, in Dennis's case, if he had 17 degrees of dynamic loft instead of 22, it's bouncing over every green and west of the Mississippi River. So what good is it? So now you look at somebody like Steve Stricker, who is not the biggest guy in the world. He's not a little bitty guy either, but he doesn't have a whole lot of lag at any point in the swing. He doesn't even have a whole lot of wrist cock, and he hits it plenty far enough to beat everybody's on the Champions Tour. So, what are you trying to do? You're trying to look like something on video. You're trying to beat your buddies on Saturday morning. I think there's way too much people falling in love with a look. And I think to a certain extent, falling in love with a look sort of kind of they know they can't get to, like falling in love with a movie star. You're probably not going to date a movie star. If you work at Firestone Tire and Rubber on Veterans Highway, you better own Firestone Country Club.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's well said. Yeah, everybody, not everybody, but people like to copy or try to emulate, maybe their favorite tour player or something they see, gee, that would be really cool, when physically they can't do it, and it puts them down the wrong path. And different parts of the game start going to hell because of that. And, what do you need that for? You really don't. Brian, what does the majority of your students that come to you for help, what is their biggest concern or frustration? What are you working on the most with these guys?
Everybody wants, when they first come, because I smarten them up a little bit, but everybody wants to be more consistent, which is garbage, right? Because Nicholas shot 83.66 in the first 2 rounds of a British Open once, right? I know his kid wrecked the car the day before, but you get it? Nicholas, in his prime, was not consistent. What they really need to do is get better. So everybody's trying to get better, and everybody has, I think, reasonable goals. But at the end of the day, not everybody leaves the lesson and does the right homework. And now that's part of my job. Just like all the doctors are going to tell me exactly the same thing. Hey, Manzel, I'm looking at a picture from last year. How much do you weigh in this picture? 185, Doc. How much do you weigh now? 203. Well, you better lose that 20 pounds if you don't want to wind up in the cemetery. Yeah. Now, they're right. Now, they can't make me not eat. So if I tell somebody, listen, I think you've got to work on adding loft, necessarily they don't have to do it when they leave here.
Right.
So I take that into account when I teach. I kind of balance around what I'm teaching with what I think they're going to do. Right. And I realize some of the time the best practice people have is when they come in for a lesson. But as the price goes up here, very shortly going up, because as you talked about a list there, the new list, the new top 50 comes out, I think, Monday or Tuesday. And it's going to be a shocking new list for people. We could talk about that if you want to.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Why it's going to be shocking.
Speaking of that, let me get off track just for a moment. Were you surprised, or your reaction to Paul Azinger being let go from NBC? They didn't they didn't renew his contract because can't blame the guy. They wanted to give him a cut and pay.
Yeah, listen. At the end of the day, if you add it up, if you've went and found, I don't know, go get the Russians to do it if you can't find it. The 10 smartest people in football, right? Whoever they are, it might be some, offensive coordinator for, Texas Tech. Who knows? But they got them. All right. John Gruden, who would be making $20 million a year if he was just still doing color commentary, right? If he wouldn't have tried to do teaching, coaching again and all that.
Yeah.
He and John Madden before him, those guys knew as much as those 10 people. Paul Azinger doesn't know what the 1,000th less knowledgeable golf teacher that I know personally knows about the golf swing and ball flight. Now, you say, well, that's not his job. No, it's his job now, because you know why? Because somebody who's watching the telecast can go to a driving range and get on Trackman now. It's not like you can't, there's no availability. It wouldn't take me 2 days to smarten up somebody like Azinger. He wasn't trying hard enough to know what was out there, and not just everything that came out of his mouth was the only thing he knew. He knew that when, he went to college as a bad player, and then I think Redmond and Doc Suddy, I think more Redmond and Doc Suddy, kind of fixed him up and made him a really good player. And then when he started trying to play for a living, he choked a lot. So he went and saw a boxing guy who taught him to breathe. And then one day he's a major winner. Now, every time he watches a tournament, and we're listening to what he has to say, right, and going nuts if you're you or me, it's all he knows. If he knew a little bit more, the stuff that would come out of his mouth would be a little bit smarter, So he wasn't interesting, right? I mean, you could say whatever you want about Rush Limbaugh or Tucker Carlson or Bill Maher or any of these guys that get paid to talk for a living. They're good at talking. If they talk about something that has nothing to do with their normal subject, like Limbaugh every now and then would talk about Mac computers, right? He was great at it. He was a pro. He was a good talker. Tony Kornheiser talks about going to the damn grocery store. I'm listening every morning on his podcast. Dennis Silvers talks good, so I do his show, right? Paul Azinger is not the guy you wanted at dinner to carry a conversation. He's not funny. He's not engaging. He's not animated. And he's not knowledgeable about everything
Well, I agree.
Choking in a golf tournament, and that's not enough in 2023.
Yeah, no,
he might be the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree. For those who don't know, Brian had an interesting little post on Facebook the other day that I totally agreed with, as far as a number of these guys really not knowing what they should and not conveying it the way that they should. But on the other hand, Azinger had a hell of a career. You must admit that. Won the PGA.
Absolutely.
I think he won 15 or 16 tour events. I watched
him play a lot.
Yeah.
Live. I watched him play live.
Yeah.
Because I was fascinated with his short game. He had a real strong grip, and he did things around the green a little different. And I've always kind of studied the short game. And when he would come to New Orleans and play in the tournament, I would watch him. And he didn't play a lot here. But, I mean, but that doesn't make you somebody that, in other words, okay, so we're doing color comment. We're doing a television broadcast, right? Yeah. It's Dennis Silvers, announcer, professional. Brian Manzel, color commentary. I've been doing since I was 6. My entire life is color commentary. So Lucas Allberg is in the middle of the fairway on a par 5. He just hit it 300 yards. So you do. Pretend it happened. Go ahead and do it. Let's do this live. Allberg's going to hit the shot. You talk. Well, he's got 220. He's got 6 iron, right? So he knocks it up on the green, and he kind of falls back a little bit, which he never does, right? He kind of finishes over here. Right. Now, that's teed up for me. I'm supposed to tell you. You notice how Allberg fell back a little bit? Everybody does that when they're hitting the shot uphill. The pin's 47 foot higher than where he was, and he was trying to launch it up in the air. And to launch it up in the air, he needed to add loft and hit down on it less. And if you lean backwards, you can add loft and hit down on it less. It's not that hard to do. But on TV, they're not just Azinger. As a group of people, they're awful at it. Awful. Yeah. Awful.
I think the problem, Brian, I don't know if you'll agree with me, that most of them just state the obvious, and that's boring. And that doesn't,
That's why Johnny Miller was good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid of saying what he felt.
Right.
And to be honest, he's my childhood idol and still my idol. But at the end of the day, as time went on, he didn't keep up with ball flight and club delivery. He had all his own little ideas that worked for him. And at the end of the day, you're broadcasting an event to people who are supposedly, I mean, golf is boring on TV, right? Everybody knows it's an easy way to go to sleep on a Sunday afternoon. Why is that? Because the people talking are boring. That's why.
Yeah, they don't
Nobody
get
ever
worked
went to
up.
sleep
They don't
on
get
Miller.
excited. And yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Anyway, Brian, stay right there. Don't move. We're going to step away, take a short break. And we come back, we'll have more with our very special guest, Mr. Brian Manzel. Hell of a good guest. Stay right with us. Don't move. We'll be right back after this. One of the perks about being in golf media is that I get to try every club ever made. Of course, like most things, some are better than others. I'm here to tell you that I have found unquestionably the absolute best performing set of irons I have ever played, and my scores show it. Let me introduce you to Grindworks, custom fitted irons that are made to fit your game. Grindworks offers players 3 different styles of irons. You can choose muscleback irons, cavity back irons, and even blades, along with some awesome wedges. And when you purchase your clubs, Grindworks lets you choose the type of shaft you want, the type grip you prefer, and even will adjust the loft and lie of your clubs if needed. That's unheard of. So what are you waiting for? Feel the power and experience and performance of these amazing clubs. Simply go to grindworksusa.com or call 281-651-4046 to order. Trust me, your handicap will love you for it. All right, we are back, everybody. More with our special guest, Mr. Brian Manzel, who teaches in his studio in the sky and also at English Turn, a wonderful, wonderful facility. How long have you been in English Turn, Brian?
15 years in March.
Okay, wow.
Nicest people in the world. You know, I'm there now about 10% of the time. I
Okay.
never realized 7 years ago when I built this studio that it would be 90% of my business. Never dreamed.
Yeah.
But you can get so much more done. It's always 66 degrees. Otherwise, what am I wearing this for, right? So I like it. It's harder. The lessons are physically harder to do because you probably hit, I would say, 20 to 30% more shots.
Interesting.
Indoors. Just think about it. It hits the screen. Trackman gives you the readout. Blah 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 blah. Well, if you're outside, the ball's in the air for a long time, and then maybe you're going to show them the iPad or their, what the swing looks like on video. This stuff all comes up instantly here. So but I had a dear old friend who was real street smart. Big Don Villavasso, did radio a million years ago, and I had a big booming voice, and he said, "Kid, you're never going to make any money until your daddy owns the driving range." Well, now the bank owns it, but at least I'm on the note.
Yeah. No, that's very good. If I remember, though, correctly, you were one of the first teaching professionals to get certified with Trackman. Is Trackman okay for the average weekend player? Does it really benefit them that much, Brian, other than showing them numbers?
Well, I mean, if you for instance, now, okay, you got two options with Trackman. You have a eye in the sky Trackman that you could put in your garage. That's $13,000, and you can play 150 golf courses. I mean, if you're going to have some sort of a little home studio, you can get in for now for like 15. You got a shot at that. Most people.
Right.
To do something like I have here, you're looking at 75 to 100 with all these screens and devices and stuff like that. But, if a regular guy had a Trackman and he took it out to the driving range, let's say the regular Trackman, the portable Trackman, even if they just practiced on it, like there's a thing called the combine, it's a 60-ball test. When I go hit balls, in quotation, hit balls, I do the combine, because if you just let me hit balls to the field, I'll start experimenting way too much. If I'm playing for a score, even though Dennis is not going to know the score and everybody else, I always think that I can put up this really fantastic score that I haven't done yet. Maybe I will one day. And that's on the Trackman website. So it's like, it gives you a reason to choke a little bit. And in practice, at the end of the day, the reason why people say, I can't take my range game, what are you doing? You're standing there hitting the same club over and over. There's no penalty for hitting it offline. No, at least you can practice something that means something. And most people have no idea, as every caddy who works at any of these famous courses has no idea how far they hit the ball. You'll know. You'll know how far you hit it. Guess what, folks listening right here today? It's less than you think. It's probably
No, you're right.
It's a great piece of equipment.
In most cases, it is. How do you judge the progress, Brian, that your students are making? How do you become aware of that?
I start running out of things to do. I mean, like I got a guy that's coming in for the next lesson after we do this, and he's a young guy. He's about maybe 8 lessons in. He was, this is not exaggerating here, double digits outside in, but was not a hacker. So just for people that don't know what that means, he was swinging over the top or across, outside, across the ball, whatever you want to call it, more than the average 100 shooter. But he could break 90 easily. So he's young, he's strong, he's playing since he's 10 years old, and he had this disastrous move that has not been that easy to fix, by the way. Yeah. But in every lesson, I have to work on it a little bit less, and it's easier to get to the numbers. And at some point, I'll just wear him out in a lesson. And that lesson is easier to wear him out than the next lesson. And overall, if he comes one day and he starts in his first 4 balls with nice little draws, I'm going to be very happy, because I'm going to say, well, we have to work on something else today. Like, hitting wedges or something, or pitch shots. So that's the general thing. If Lucas Allberg comes to me, I probably watch it and I go, it looks pretty good, but why don't you think we just go someplace like we'll go up to see Jacobs and we'll get captured, and then we won't even look at it. We'll just stick it in a vault. And then if you go bad, we'll go to the vault and we'll give them the safety deposit number, open it up, and put you back to where you were. That's what you would do.
Speaking of Mr. Jacobs, briefly tell our viewers, what kind of research does he do, and how did you guys first get involved?
We were proteges of Ben Doyle, who was a golfing machine instructor. And so we were looking. If you got to Ben and the golfing machine, you wasn't just farting around. You were trying to get somewhere. And we took it as far as we could take it. And we both had known about each other, because Ben was a really smart, like street smart cat, believe it or not. And one of the things that he always told me is, they got this little young guy on Long Island, y'all going to do great things together. So he knew that we were like-minded enough to work on this. But anyway, long story short, now we know each other through Ben, and through a series of crazy events, we wound up on the doorstep of a guy named Stephen Nesbitt, who Frank Thomas, the late Frank Thomas with the USGA, had hired and threw a bunch of millions at, when millions were millions, like this is the late 80s, to get an all-star team of other scientists to try to figure out what the hell Jack Nicklaus is doing different than Arnold Palmer. And if the USGA needs to know if there's something that might, make the ball go 400 yards. And now Stephen Nesbitt works for Michael
Really?
full
Okay.
time. You know, he got out of the school thing, took his retirement. And so now a golf pro has the research, the research grade software that only scientists had. Well, look, I know a bunch of scientists that are in golf now, and I guess most of them are nice enough guys. Most, I'll underline most. And basically, they don't know what to look for, like somebody that's been teaching for 40 years knows what to look for, and Mike's been teaching for 30 years. So we have figured out Mike has done way more than me, but we have figured out a whole bunch of stuff that has been useful for us, and we share that information with other teachers, which is a big part of both of our business, smartening up other teachers. So it's been great, and we have a whole bunch of stuff to look forward to in the future. And just to give you an idea, Golf Digest. Don't ever get those guys confused. Golf Digest is a young lady who's the social media reporter. I think she does more than that. Was just in your neck of the woods for the Grand Prix. And it came to her. She's a real bright lady. And she said, I wonder how much horsepower a golfer has. And Peter Maurice, who's the number 2 in charge at the magazine, said, call Jacobs, he'll know. And he ran it, and like Patty Harrington's like 5.5 horsepower, and Jamie Sadlowski, the long hitters, like 6.8. And Mr. Faversham, like that shoots 85 if he chips and putts good, is like 3. And you can kind of see that, and he got into the weeds of how you compute that. But to have a golf pro that you can call and get that question from, you don't have to call some university and get some guy with propeller head. It's taken a while for the golf business to come around, but I think Michael's work with Patty Harrington has really helped people understand, well, there must be something to it. I can tell you there is.
Yeah, and he's playing some great golf. My God, he's always been a good player, but he's playing some terrific golf on the Champions Tour now. How much importance do you put on having a good, not an adequate, a good pre-shot routine?
Not that big a deal. I used to think it was big. Here's the thing. You have to line yourself up to the club, and you have to line up the club to the target. And there's a way that most people do it, right? The good players line the club up first and line their body up to the club. Ben taught us a very precise routine. I used to teach it all to everybody. It didn't, at the end of the day, what I teach in a lesson is what I know minus, so what I know, which is what I've learned, right? So what I've learned minus what didn't work a million times.
Right.
And I taught pre-shot routines to people who were, like I say, a 9 handicapper that would make Jack Nicklaus go, whoa, what a pre-shot routine. And it didn't help him. So it can't be that important. Fred Couples famously said when he played his best, he didn't even aim, which means he didn't aim on purpose, right? Obviously he's aiming. But it's not as big a deal as having a good setup. That's a bigger deal.
Totally
if you set
agree.
up like crud, you got no chance. None.
Right.
Zero.
Totally agree. Totally.
If you get somebody like the guy that was just in here that was launching his 5-iron 20 feet on a shot in the middle of the club face. I'm not launching at 20. It was max height 20. That's a knockdown shot into the wind at Bandon Dunes. He was trying to do this on a normal shot. He had the ball. Part of the reason was he had the ball too far back in his stance, right? So, and his grip was too weak. So he was burning up a whole lot of loft trying to square the face up. So, there's a thing going around, for the last few years. You probably see it on social. Oh, the grip is not a fundamental. Let me tell you, they can fix, you go get one of those guys, they can fix any one thing they want, and I'll fix grips, and we'll just bet one player at a time, and Dennis, you'll be the judge. And after I clean them out, we'll go have a nice steak dinner at Delmonico's.
Yeah. Oh, I would love that. Oh my God, that would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun. Brian, we got to step away again, real short break, and we'll come back and we'll finish up the show with you. So stay right there, and we will be back shortly, right after this break.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
All right, we got a couple of more minutes left on the show to spend with our special guest, Brian Manzel. I'd be remiss, Brian, if I didn't ask you your thoughts about the Live Tour.
You know, once we had enough information of, you know, what it was, I was all for it. And here's why. I've been doing this for 40 years, and this business has been like a little, like, cigar box. And every now and then somebody will stick a nail in the cigar box and put a little hole and spit something through it that's new, like Trackman or the three-piece ball. And we were playing with balls. I used to be able to bite the ball when I got mad with my teeth. You don't do that with a Pro V1.
No.
So, but except for a few little things, mostly equipment things, it's the same box. It doesn't make any sense that there's no development.
Yeah.
And what I would, you know, I've always wanted to do some color commentary. I know I'm not going to be in the 18th hole. I'm not a major winner, but I thought I could add a lot to the Pool On Weed Eater Open on a Wednesday during football season or Thursday. So it's the only business where they don't even care. Everybody, you go find my 5 biggest critics in the business, and you say, you think Manzel would suck on TV? 0% of my critics think that. I can't get an audition. If I was Brian Manzel in football, I would already be on ESPN. So what? I'm not just saying, woe is me. I'm doing fine. I got 2 pretty houses next to each other, a pretty wife, 2 brand new cars, and I travel whenever I want. So I ain't complaining. But what I'm saying is there's other people like me. They don't care. All those TV guys, they just want to be buddies with their little buddies and go eat dinner at Jack Ruby's. Yeah. And the PGA of America is a bunch of guys that want to stay at the Brown Hotel. And at the end of the day, you have a product. And at least Liv tried to do something different.
Right. But
now here's the most, if you said, Brian, what's the most unbelievable thing that's happened in 40 years in the business? This. Liv and PXG, they have a lot in common, right? They were both started by guys who don't give a flying you-know-what about the status quo.
Right.
That ain't running, neither one of those people are running out of money, right? And they're both kind of, like they're different. And their product is in your face different.
Yeah.
Okay. When Liv went out to hire TV people. And when PXG went out to hire, staff pros, they went status quo. What? They went to the Golf Channel? They hired Faraday?
Right.
If there was ever a casting call in history for loudmouths like me or pros like you, surely it would have been for Liv.
I could not agree with you more.
That's the most unbelievable thing in 41 years in the business. That the two biggest ass-kicking companies that ever came along still did a lot of status quo.
Yeah. And, it's nothing personal, but the personalities they have announcing the event on Live, in my opinion, again, nothing personal, they're all good people. They're horrible. They could put, Faraday is wound down so much, he could put you to sleep describing something, somebody coming up to the green or whatever. But it's going to be interesting to see the way things turn out. I do think they're going to get an agreement, once some of this litigation is settled, and we'll just see what happens. How often do you go out to find instructors to certify to put in your
in the stable?
In the stable, yes. You took the words right out of my mouth.
The best thing that's happened to me is the internet, because the internet it busted me out of this little third level market I'm in here in New Orleans. And so I've got, about 150 certified teachers all around the world. And now all of a sudden we have a big following in Korea. I went a few months ago and certified a bunch of pros, and Jacobs and I are going in February. And so he's going to put them through his ambassador stuff, and I'm going to certify a few more.
Cool.
We don't want to die with, look, it's fun to get a hold of information before the next guy does. It's the American way, right?
Yeah.
But we both are smart enough to know they've been playing golf for 600 years, and we ain't going to make it 500 this way. So we like to share. And there's nothing that gives me and Michael more pleasure than a guy who we taught a little bit of some stuff that might help their teaching, and then they go out and teach somebody and that person wins a tournament or something like that. Then you didn't just waste your time on this planet,
Right.
So it's been a lot of fun, and I really like doing it. I don't think I'm going to run out of people who want to do it, because there's 50,000 people who are really like gung-ho teachers in this planet, and I've got 150 guys, so 150 to 50,000 is a big old giant gap. And
that's
I don't
wonderful.
think I'll run out of any soon. But I like doing it a lot. I like helping people.
So my next question is, when you coming out my way to talk to some teachers out here and visit for a couple of days, and we could tee it up.
I went to Vegas one time, and I did one of my early, I didn't certify anybody. That was one of my early deals. I forget the name of the place I was at. I was sort of off the beaten path, and then we went to the Strip one night. It was interesting. I liked it. The thing about having Jacobs all the way on Long Island, me all the way down here halfway in the Gulf of Mexico, depends on the day. You could be in the Gulf of Mexico. We need to do it more. So for sure, Vegas is a good place, and
I'd love to have you come out.
Contacts out west. You take me to some of these really good places to eat. I know
I would love to.
A nice piece of fish and a good round of golf is a great day, especially with a friend like you.
You are not kidding. Just remember to bring some money, because they say here, fast pay makes fast friends. So I totally intend to kick your ass. Give me two aside, and let's see who takes out the wallet. Okay?
The best part about that is it'll be worth every penny.
Oh, you are too kind, my friend. Oh, that's great. But you guys are more than welcome to to get out here. Do you know anybody that has any juice at English Turn in case I show up in your area?
I absolutely just got to call me ahead of time. Yeah, I know everybody at English Turn. It's a great place, and we put in the Mach 3 greens a couple years ago, and it really rose the level of the Ultra Dwarf Bermuda.
Yeah,
they have it at Stream Song, and I had played on it. And anybody that hadn't played on Ultra Dwarf, when you putt on it, you'll know you're not on regular dwarf.
Right. True.
It's a lot of fun. Yes, sir.
This is very, very true. Okay. Brian, I will let you go. I know you got a lesson standing by. I thank you for your time. I know you're busy again. I wish you and yours a great Thanksgiving and a great holiday. But we're going to get you back sooner than later. So you're a credit to the game. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Always great to be on.
Thank you. Brian Manzel, everybody. Great guy, great teacher, and knows his stuff. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. For Brian, I'm Dennis Silvers. Again, I wish everybody has a great holiday tomorrow, and hope you get a chance to get out and play some golf. It's getting cold here in Las Vegas. So a lot of people aren't playing, and like I keep saying, I'm a hot weather guy. I don't do the 61, 62 degree with a little north wind. No, but we hope in your part of the country, you got good weather and you're going to get out. So anyway, we'll see you back here again, same time next week with another great show. So until then, so long, everybody.